Daniel Rossen, You Belong There, album review, let's chat about it. Hey guys, what's going on? John here from What's Spinning here tonight to chat about this latest from Daniel Rossen, legendary member of Grizzly Bear. If you are into modern chamber pop, art rock, psychedelic rock even, you know who the hell he is. As a matter of fact, I would go as far as to say as Daniel was a major reason that I got into Grizzly Bear back in the day. His vocals as well as his songwriting was some of the most compelling in the group, I thought. However, the one thing that's always, kind of caught me off guard was just how quiet Daniel's been on the solo front. I mean, back in 2012, he put out the Silent Hour Golden Mile EP, and I thought that, this was going to be the next big thing. I thought the EP was really good. I thought he was about ready to take off for a solo career. It was classy, and it played to his talent so well. I was ready for more, but here we are 10 years later with Grizzly Bear kind of on a hiatus. Daniel finally taking some time to do his solo album. Now, the last time we heard of Grizzly Bear on Painted Ruins, I honestly was not into a lot of what they were doing. They were kind of slowing down and not being as ambitious as they were in the early days, even though the material here is fine. So much so, I almost was just going to write this album off as just kind of a solo project from a band that I was really into 10 years ago. But the singles leading up to this thing were fantastic, and a lot of this album reminds me of exactly what I loved about Grizzly Bear back in the day. This album starts off with It's a Passage, and it's pretty great. It's a lush, colorful start. I love the pacing here. Daniel really gives this one a lot of room to grow. There's a lot of progressive rock and progressive folk elements on this album. And it's really lovely. As a matter of fact, it reminds me a lot of the Catamist era Grizzly Bear. I love the production. It sounds great. And honestly, Daniel sounds great. As far as the vocal performance goes, he sounds like he hasn't missed a beat. It's mysterious. It's beautiful. I'm really happy with this. This literally, in a lot of ways, brings me back to a much simpler time. Then we have Shadow in the Frame. I love how many layers this track has. I mean, listen, if you're new to the music of Daniel Rossen or, have never listened to much Grizzly Bear, this may not be the best place to start. But for me, this is home, and it's breathtaking. I also love the way this track picks up. It goes from this very quiet, hushed track to this very progressive, very lavish, lush, and epic track very quickly. I'm really happy with just how genuine this sounds. This sounds like he picked it up right after his EP. Then we have You Belong There, this album's title track. It's really good as well. This one has a little bit of an atmosphere to it. It's a little pensive. It's a little bit of a slow burner, but it's done really well. But with just how, tense this track gets at times, because it does, Daniel's very breathy, very lush vocals open this track up just enough. Like I said, it's a little bit more tightly wound, but it's also really mysterious. It has so many little details to it. There's a lot to it, and it's all beautiful. I have a lot of the same feelings on Unpeopled Space. This track just has so many different influences coming from all these sorts of genres that I'm not used to hearing Daniel dive into, but he does really well with it. The layered vocals are a nice touch. The instrumental just seemingly has so many twists and turns. It makes for a lot of re-listen value, honestly. I feel like I've missed so many details whiz by me, and I just kind of want to check it back out again, see what else you can dig out of this. It's a really classy track, but it's also a more long-form one, and Daniel does a really great job of keeping your attention and more. Here's the weird thing, though. When this album falters a little bit, it almost falters in the exact same way that Grizzly Bear's last album did. Celia is really boring. It is indeed another long form track, one that, sort of grows over time, but this one, Daniel just seems lost. It gets really obnoxious really fast, and Daniel's vocals just seem strained. And Tangle is just a sloppy jalopy mess. I think it's the worst track here. This instrumental is way too heady to get anywhere interesting, and Daniel just instantly sounds like he's trying too hard. It's bizarre. It's a formless mush. We are lost for the moment. And Repeat the Pattern was a last-minute addition to this album, and I kind of wish he kept it off. It's very cookie cutter. It sounds like a Daniel Rossen track, but just not a very interesting one. Doesn't have a lot of heart, interesting themes, or even an instrumental I can remember. It's not very good. But I'll Wait for Your Visit really wakes me up. I think it's a great late album treat. I love how busy this instrumental is, but it never gets to be too much. It's just a really great one to dive into. It's really graceful, it's really lush, it's really colorful as well, and the dual vocals from Daniel on this track were really nice too. I mean, yes, it does, as far as compared to watch that. And yes, as far as compared to the rest of the album goes, this is a little bit busier, it's a little bit more hectic and hard to follow at times, but he does a really good job with it. It keeps you guessing with every single step, and it just comes off as this weird, haunted art rock tune. Big risk, but I think it paid off. Keeper and Kin is really good too. This is a real left turn. This is one of the most cosmic and genuinely progressive tracks here. It is so good too. I mean, the drama, the intensity here. This instrumental is wild too. I mean, talk about influences. There's even some nods to neoclassical here that are really tasteful. This is great. And the last one is a really great late album track too, one that I really needed. It's just more of a warm and breezy folk track, but it's not boring. Like, I can't help but smile listening to this. This album's really, really nice. I thought it was just going to be a sort of plain Jane solo project that should have probably happened about 5 years ago, but Daniel does a really good job of bringing the qualities that he once brought to Grizzly Bear and putting them on display here. It's a very progressive, very dramatic, very lush and lavish album with some really great vocals and production. I mean, it's not perfect, and oddly enough, when it faults, it's the same reason that I kind of wasn't into the last Grizzly Bear project, but hey, this is really, really nice, and I'd like to hear some more from Daniel in the future fairly soon, I hope. I really like this. I'm feeling a very light 8 on this album, but let me know what you guys think down below. If you liked the video, be sure to give us a like, give us a subscribe, and let me know down below what you would like for me to chat about in the future. Until next time, have a great day, guys.